Hi everyone!
Hey guys, welcome back to ForWhy.
This is Julie.
I'm Shania, and today we have special guests with us.
Yes, this week we're doing an LGBTQ plus discussion round with some of our friends. Should we introduce or should they introduce themselves?
So let's go from the start. So Susie, introduce yourself.
Hello.
She hates
I'm
that she's the
Susie.
first one.
What do you want me to say?
What's your name? What's your location? Not like specifically. What's your sexual orientation? What do you identify as? All of the
Ethical
jazz.
background.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm Susie. I live in Hertfordshire in England.
Shout
I
out.
guess I am queer, bisexual, either one, and I use she, her pronouns.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right, John, who are you?
Hi, I'm Johnat. Some of y'all will know me back from St Andrews. I'm down in Croydon and I am queer, bisexual as well.
Thank
Adam?
you, love.
Me?
Yeah, you're next.
Okay. Hello. My name is Adam. I'm from Shropshire. I am and queer and gay, and I use he, him pronouns.
Love you. Thank you. Humnah.
Hi, I'm Humnah. Identify as bisexual or queer, and I use she, her pronouns.
Thank you, guys.
We love to
Julie.
see it.
We love to see it. Shout out to you guys for being here. We thank you so much, honestly. It means the world.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having us.
Julie, do you wanna start with the first question?
Okay, first big question. Be ready, be prepared. You all took your notes beforehand, right? I'm sure.
No.
I didn't know we were getting
I'm
quizzed.
kidding.
Yeah, you guys have to know all the history on everything ever, basically.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that seems about right.
It's the
That makes
gay
Queer
sense.
history
test.
101.
Yeah, that's it.
Like if you don't pass, you get your card revoked, basically.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That dramatic. Wow.
How was your personal experience like coming out or growing up queer in general, just like throughout your young life that you lived?
Mm.
So-
Anyone can go first, whoever's comfortable.
Okay, I'll go first then. I don't really know how to answer this question fully.
Mhm.
Growing up, I always knew that I was different, and I never really understood what it was. So it never really impacted me either. I've got two really great supportive parents. I went to a great school, had good friends. So it was never really an issue. I had friends of different genders, different religions, different economic statuses. It was good, nice. And then eventually, when I was I think it was 13 or 14, it kind of clicked in me and was like, oh, that's what it is.
Mm.
And then I kept it to myself for a little bit and then told my friends when I was probably 14, 15. So not much longer after. And then my mum actually found out when I was on holiday in France.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
What was this conversation experience like? What happened?
It was interesting. We were on holiday and I'd paid for Wi-Fi and my mum had not. So I let my mum use my tablet at the time to go on Facebook because that's what she liked to do. And then a couple of the messages that I'd had, which were a bit flirty, came up, and then she looked over at me and said, "Is there something you want to tell me?" And then I was actually confused because I genuinely had no idea what she was on about. And then she had to like turn the tablet around and show me the messages. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, there's that. And then it was weird for about a day. And then it was fine. And we had a wonderful holiday.
Did you prefer doing it accidentally, like what happened? Or would you have preferred having the conversation yourself? Like starting it yourself?
I've never actually sat down, had a conversation with somebody and said, look, I'm gay. Like that's never something that I've had to do, which I'm both grateful for and also like sometimes that's like a story that makes people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people relate to. So I don't know whether I can say I would preferred one of the other one,
Mhm.
because I've only got experience of one, basically.
Yeah.
I've got experience of it happening by accident, and then and also me just not pretending I'm not.
Yeah.
But I've never really had the conversation where I just sat down and said, "This is what I am." So I can't really,
Yours was mainly positive, right? Like your
experience.
Yes, very fortunately, all of my family are very, very supportive of me, including grandparents and aunties and uncles, which it's wonderful.
We
I
love
just,
that.
I feel
What
very
did you-
privileged to have that.
What did you think in that moment when your mum saw those messages? Like, I could imagine that feeling.
I was just scared, I think, is how I was like, oh my god, it's this kind of like, I don't know, it was the secret that I had and kept to myself my whole life up to that point. And then it was discovered without me wanting it to be discovered. It was genuinely an accident. So I was scared. I mean, I always knew that my parents were supportive regardless. I mean, my mum and my dad, both of them, had always said right from whatever age I was that they loved me no matter what. But of course, it's still scary, isn't it, to have that part of you revealed? And arguably, I'd say it probably did happen earlier than I wanted it to. And I've still been dealing with a lot of internalized homophobia right up for a couple of years after that as well. So perhaps I wasn't necessarily ready in the sense, but it happened like that, and I wouldn't want to go back and change that, because that's how it created who I am now.
That's nice to think about it like that.
Yeah. What is not that you know the complete definition, not putting that pressure on you, but for listeners, your own personal definition of internalized homophobia?
Gosh, that is a very deep question.
not how you've experienced it, not you experienced it, but like if somebody was listening and didn't understand what that meant, because a lot of people have this stigma of what homophobia is and still refuse to believe the definition per se. If that makes sense.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah. For me, it was just kind of not believing I am who I am, or not wanting to accept that I am who I am. So I used to, one of the biggest things that I used to have was these dreams, and then I would always kind of see myself in the future, and I would be married to a woman, and still be gay and hate it and be really uncomfortable, and then that would it would make me really sad. And yes, actually, it was the kind of lockdown and the the time to myself that actually kind of really helped me work through that. And I don't really have those dreams anymore. So
hey, I love that.
Because that's the only woman Adam likes.
Yeah.
What woman? Sorry?
Christian Bell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or what can I say?
It's iconic. Just because he's funny, right? Isn't that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect it. I respect it. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks,
no worries.
Adam.
Anybody want to go next?
I'll go next. Yeah. So, what was the question again?
Experience coming out and growing up as an LGBT person.
Well, it was actually kind of confusing and hard for me, in all honesty. Like, it's more coming to terms with it. So, growing up in South London and around Black people and Caribbean people who, a lot of them are quite homophobic, I just do need to say. And it's like...
Say what it is.
It was just a bit of fear, definitely. Especially like this is one thing which is like a safety thing, which I would love to just like disclaimer, put that there. Like, a lot of people need more safe spaces to really engage with who they feel they're becoming or who they are because just in general, like I did that all by myself, and I wish I had other people that I could have talked to at that time. So a lot of it was just kind of coming to terms with who I am all by myself, just kind of like really thinking like am I all this? Am I all that? But it took me till I was about 19 to really say like, no, literally first year uni, I was like, no, I definitely would happily be in a relationship with both a man as well as a woman. So it was about then I was like, yeah, I would definitely come out. And I'm still very much on my journey in a sense of the whole coming out, let's do this. And it's more so that feeling of kind of like connecting with yourself and really like honing down on the fact that like you are feeling more of your own identity. You're feeling so much more authentic to yourself. And that is what is so empowering at the moment.
That's nice how you said that. It's very self-reflective, I think.
Can we talk about how problematic the Black community is with homosexuality, especially you being Jamaican?
I mean, luckily, my mum is like very open-minded, but even with my mum being open-minded, like we did get the whole, oh, like this is cool, like it's okay that you're gay. Don't tell the family though. Like, it was just there's the little bits which I find.
So does not everyone know yet of your family?
Not completely, but it's also just not their business at the same time.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
It's like it's all okay. But homophobia is like really deep rooted, especially in like a lot of Black families which are Christian as well. You don't know how many of them which I know who I've met at uni who have literally told me like, no, their mums are like really not okay with them being gay. But the thing is just you gotta be who you are, innit?
Yeah.
Fair.
And your support system.
Because I know you, we've been to school together since we were 11.
How many years now? Like
time in it. I don't even know. I'm old in it. But forever. How was it go? Because like our school is a Christian school, but we had a lot of Afro-Caribbean people there. Like I think we had
majority
many white
majority
people and a few Asian people. Yeah. So like the majority was very like Pentecostal African religious people, and then like problems in the Caribbean, but yeah. How is it being in that environment, being like uncertain of who you are, and then like constantly being exposed to this is wrong, this you shouldn't be like this?
I mean, for me, my experience, like because I kept that so segregated and so private in a sense, that didn't let it affect almost like my curiosity and discovery of it in general. However, like there definitely was, I would say, the biggest element of like shame that comes with it. And the amount it's kind of publicized, like no one wanted to be gay. Like even if like you remember in fucking St. Andrews, they would always be like, oh, you're gay, and it would be such an insult. Like
yeah.
So already from the get-go, like they had already kind of instilled this kind of shame associated with being gay. But yeah, it was hard. It's been hard and confusing.
Thank you, beautiful.
No problem.
Any of the ladies want to contribute? I don't think that's the right word, but yeah.
I think my experience was pretty similar to Adam's with how I never really like had a sit down conversation and came out like the way that you see in like videos on social media. A lot of it was as I think happens quite regularly in secondary school, I kind of found my friendship group, and then my entire friendship group just happened to all be gay. And so it was kind of like us bouncing off each other and like learning from each other. And I actually had a girlfriend before I came out. She was in that friendship group, and the reason that my mum found out was because I was hanging out with her so often. And my mum, we were sitting in the car, and my mum was like, I know about you and her. And I was I really didn't appreciate like the way that she did it, but at the same time I am grateful that I didn't ever have to do the sit down thing, but I wasn't going to. Frankly, I was just gonna
bring a girl home and be like, that's
I was just gonna be like, this is my girlfriend. And what's annoying is that I still haven't come out to my grandparents, which is because, you know, they're old and white and and I always, when I started going out with my boyfriend, I really held back from telling my grandparents about him because I felt like I couldn't tell them about him without telling them about her.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt like being able to so openly say, like, this is my boyfriend was kind of, I don't know, I felt like it was kind of internalized homophobia, like I was repressing that part of myself and accepting the straight bits.
Yeah.
But in the end, it got to a point where I kind of had to tell my grandparents about my boyfriend, and I wasn't ready to tell them about my girlfriend. So, I mean, yeah, they still don't know that they do know about my boyfriend, but I think it's just, I've had a lot of encounters with people where it's men, I get a lot of like sexualization. Like they think it's cool to be, I used to identify as a lesbian.
I was about to ask you, because I think when we first met in first year of uni, you weren't sure if you were lesbian or bisexual, right?
I was pretty sure I was a lesbian, but I really don't like it that I really don't want to like support the stereotype that all lesbians are straight. They just haven't met the right guy.
Oh no. Yeah, of course.
I really don't want to support that. But that's literally, I don't know how it happened. I don't want that to be a thing.
Yeah. But you did find guys attractive, right? Like some, but not as many as women or something like that, right? I remember. Yeah.
I felt like that was just a big fear about men in general.
It was so funny because I got my boyfriend a month before Susie did in uni. And she was like, I'm so scared to be with a man. I've only had a girlfriend. It was so funny. It was. I don't know what to tell you. I've only been with men.
Girl, same.
Yeah. I think it was all right. A lot of people I just haven't come out to, and I feel like I don't need to. Like I don't want to. So I don't need to. That's
really the point of it. I think in the end, no one should need to come out. Like in a better future, it should just be like, I have a partner, and then whatever that partner identifies. Like it doesn't really matter, does it? In the end.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a stigma that you have to
come out? You mean?
Yeah.
I think it's expected because obviously the whole othering of like the LGBT community is like not the norm. So you have to come out as being when being LGBT isn't like visible, so you have to kind of announce it because people just assume you're straight if you don't.
But none of you ever came out to, like, when a friend group formed in uni, none of you ever came out. Like, none of you were like, I just want to say that I'm gay, bisexual, lesbian, queer, whatever. It was just a happening conversation that I understood, and that was it. And I think that should be it, like, all the time. But, you know, it's just not the reality of things.
I think it's easier with people our age.
Yeah.
Because we've grown up with a more accepting society with technology and stuff, so that it's easy to do it like that. But with adults, I feel like you wouldn't be able to just kind of drop it in conversation.
Yeah, middle-aged people are scary and senior.
Yeah.
They're all problematic, but we move. They're gonna get old soon.
You know when
apparently I'm ageist on this podcast. I need to stop.
But it's okay. We have to call out what has to be called out.
I mean, like everybody older than us are just all problematic.
You know when grown men they see like gay people kissing, like two men kissing on the screen, like, oh no, turn off the channel.
Oh my god, what is this? Like, shut up. Like,
just watch the movie.
I don't want to see
shut
kissing
up.
anyway. Edit. Like, seeing two straight people kiss makes me uncomfortable anyway. Like, shut
Like
up.
Love
It's
Island
just a
when they
thing that
scroll
happens.
on the kissing and you hear
I
this.
couldn't.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Why was the sound
Like,
up so
it's just-
high?
I don't know.
Oh,
my
sorry.
God. Okay.
No, I mean in Love Island.
Oh yeah. Oh no. True. Like, I don't know.
When
like
they're
the
kissing.
smacking of lips. It's
Oh my
just. Nobody needs to hear. Oh, it's just a cesspit of STDs, but we move. It's fine.
Thank you,
It's
Susie.
okay. Thank you, Susie.
Humnah, my love.
Hello,
Humnah.
hello. Right, mine is maybe going to be slightly long-winded, so if you're all right to hear it out, we'll go with it.
That's why we're here.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So I think it was one of those things that like I, in my head, just always found myself attracted to both guys and girls. Like it was just a thing that was, I don't know, it was just what I grew up with. And I think it wasn't until I was in secondary school and like 13, 14 with my group of friends, kind of realizing that that actually wasn't normal. Like like my friends around me didn't find girls attractive as much as they found guys attractive. So I'd be in these conversations and they'd be talking about the guys that they thought were fit, the guys that they wanted to date, and most of the time I didn't really sit with that, but I knew in my head that there were girls that I thought were attractive or girls that I would potentially, like, I could see myself with. And once I realized that that wasn't such a normal thing, I didn't really vocalize it because I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
And it meant it was a thing of me having to go and be on this journey and try to work out what that meant for me. So like the label bisexual, I found it really early on, but I was so scared to associate myself with it that I held back on that. And that is a mixture of like just general social stigma and religious and racial stigma, because I was raised as a Muslim and I'm like from a Pakistani and Bangladeshi family. Like that was a thing of it, just like there is a lot of homophobia in, I don't want to say in, well, I mean, yeah, in Islam in the way that it's preached now. And I'm going to say it like that, and someone might call me out on that, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
The way that it, the way that people kind of teach the religion to other people kind of suggests that. And I don't personally identify with Islam anymore. That's like was part of the journey. Part of like my experience was more like being afraid of like the best way I can describe it, there's a song by Troye Sivan called Heaven, and that's him talking about his journey with his sexuality and trying to work out whether because of his religious upbringing that would still allow him to get into heaven.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's really, yeah, it is. But
song.
like I really resonated with it because it kind of articulated everything that I was thinking and I was feeling. Like how can I grow up, how can I be a Muslim and be bisexual and still have this guaranteed spot in heaven in the afterlife? And it was just this whole thing. And then there's just general homophobia within the South Asian community as a whole. Like I think like one of the biggest supporting factors for me in my journey was like I actually was best friends with like the first openly gay guy at my school. So, and obviously like kind of like what Susie was saying in that like her friend group then all ended up just being LGBT, like over the next few years that ended up being my friend group, or at least the people that I associated myself with. And so he came out a couple of years before I was still working things out. I say that I came out as aromantic before I came out as bisexual because it seemed easier for me to kind of say that, and to say that I didn't experience romantic attraction to anybody, because it was like that way that conversation isn't there. I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to engage in like relationships and whatever else that conversation meant in secondary school. but having him be out, he was very much like he was a huge part of my life and like my family life, and I realized really quickly that the way that my family were responding to him meant that they would respond similarly to me, and it made me so scared and so worried about it. I mean, like, my uncle got married when I was 16, and they said that I could bring him along to the wedding. I was like, just because like it was a big family occasion, my anxiety gets the better of me. It was just like as a comfort thing. But he does a lot of drag, or at least used to. So he wanted to dress up in the traditional Asian suit for women. Once my uncle had found out, he kind of pulled me aside and was like, I would highly suggest you tell him not to do that, because that could result in something that might end in him being in the hospital.
Oh my god.
That is the wording of it that I had from him, and I still haven't come out. I still was trying to work myself out. And hearing that enough was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna keep this quiet, and maybe I'm gonna just pull it back for a little bit. But whilst that was all happening, I started talking to my now ex-girlfriend, who was the reason why I ended up coming out, because I was like, well, I kind of need to explain that I'm dating this girl and everyone just thinks that I'm straight. Should probably now's a good time as any to kind of explain that. So like ended up coming out when I was 17, only to like my immediate circle at school. I didn't think it was anybody else's business to need to know that. I didn't want the assumption of like, oh, because I hung out with the gay guy at school, that it meant that obviously I wasn't going to be straight, when it was, my identity was so separate from that. But it's really interesting that I had come out and I hadn't really told a lot of people. And now when I go back home, sometimes some of my friends will bump into people from my school and they'll be like, you know, I bumped into so-and-so from school and they were very surprised to find out you weren't straight. And it becomes this whole thing of like, this is a conversation that's happening past me leaving. Why is this? And they're just like, well, no, because like you were like, because you're Asian. And I'm like, that doesn't mean I
my god,
wow,
straight.
Just immediately write it off because you're wow.
It never made much sense to me. But I mean, I ended up just becoming a lot more comfortable with myself after I managed to come out to my immediate circle. And I was gonna say, Julie, when you mentioned about like us not really coming out, like we didn't have that conversation in our friend group at uni. That wasn't a thing that we had. But I think I've had this conversation with Susie, I think, that I was so scared to say that I was bi when I started at uni, and like when I started hanging out with you guys, because I had no idea at the time and I just kept it to myself. And I distinctly remember, it's actually, I'm wearing the hoodie, but it was the day that I ordered the hoodie and I had it on my phone and Susie noticed it over my shoulder. So
the shirt Humnah's wearing, it says "could be gayer," and every time she wears it, we get so excited. we just go, "Could be gayer," though. To everyone.
I mean, it could. I mean, I could be gayer. Being bisexual inherently means that I could be gayer. However,
but there's something about uni that's comforting, because you can reimagine. I don't want to say reimagine yourself, it's a bit drastic.
No, but you get to reintroduce yourself as a version that like doesn't have any filters, and you don't have this expectation of you have to be this person that everyone knows you already as.
It's so hard from the hometown, because you've grown up and
definitely.
It's like you're completely moving yourself away from the person you used to be to become something you want to be.
Definitely.
But no, you go first.
No, I was just wanting to say I've never had as many LGBT friends. Well, I didn't have any, because in Luxembourg there's like, it feels like there's 5 gay people and that's it.
Right.
So I was like, this is amazing. Like, great. I feel like I could be anything with these people, because they've been through some shit. So
the way my friend group talks about it from home is like, just that like queer people in general just seem to associate themselves with each other, and it's not intentional, it just ends up happening. And I don't know if that's just a way in which like we present ourselves as something just deeply
Yeah.
that you just kind of realize and you recognize that in each other when you kind of see each other. It's a weird moment.
It's nice to be in a friend group where straight is the exception.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That was a great way to put it, Julie.
Oh my god, that's so heterophobic, but sorry.
The
Sorry, not sorry.
heterophobic problematic, as John was
say.
saying. But I wanted to ask you, what is it like to remove yourself from religion? Like being brought up in a space where you're always one thing and to believe in such a higher power to then not believe in that anymore. What is that? What is that like for you? What is that feeling?
I think, and this is, I think this is where like I've become a lot more aware of this in the last couple of years. I think we're thinking about it more, that like I've just, at least, so I stopped associating myself. I mean, I was thinking about it from when I was like 14. It was something that like I have my own qualms with religion. But I think in the last couple of years, I've kind of realized that that is entirely based on the way that the religion was presented to me and my like experiences in it. It's not a true reflection of the religion itself and what is actually within there. And I think people will take what they like and present that in a way that then makes other people feel bad if you're then not associating the religion in the same way, if you don't see it in the exact same frame of mind. And I think that like can go for most religions. But kind of removing myself from religion was, like I said, was something that kind of was something I was thinking about based on what I'd been taught. Like there wasn't, in my mind, there's not a higher power that would punish you for what you look like, who you love, for like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like why, and even if that was the case, why would I choose to associate myself with someone like that or with something like that? Like that's not what I want ever. I know how that feels like, and I never want anyone around me to feel the same way. So I'm not going to force anybody into feeling or believing that, and that's myself as well. Me and my dad get into debates about it from time to time because he is still very much religious. And it's where like that conflict happens, but it's more it just was kind of a given at that point. Once I just realized that was what was happening, I was like, I don't want to be associated to this anymore.
I get you. It's just mad because like religion is meant to produce the most loving and accepting people, but more times it doesn't. I
think it's fine for like, I think for those that, I think you're brought up by a criteria almost, the kind of that you have to fulfill if you're brought up under religion. So when you don't fulfill that criteria, you then are on the, like, you receive the worst end of the stick from it. So nobody else is going to understand why you would disagree with that unless you fell into anything that was outside of that criteria and you experience what it's like on the other side of it. Until you're in it.
I get you. Thank you.
Thank you, Humnah.
That was beautiful. Honestly, like, thank you. It's really insightful, everybody. Next question.
Let's do one more big question.
Yeah, I feel you.
Which one do you want to do?
I feel like we can do the third one because the second one's kind of touched on the third one anyway.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you want to ask?
Oh, I thought you were going.
I can ask. That's fine.
Sorry, guys.
Do you think it's easier to be open about your your sexuality now, or do you think there's still a lot of major issues facing the LGBTQ plus community? Well, specifically the bi and the gay and the lesbian community. And if so, what is needed to be addressed? Like, what do we need to talk about?
Big question.
Big question.
Can I go first?
Yes, you
Sure.
can.
Intersectionality immediately needs to be addressed. Because I think in a lot of ways it's easier to say that it is easier to be open about your sexuality now than it has been in the past in a lot of ways. But that's then also talking about certain types of societies and certain places in the world that doesn't go for everywhere in the world. And I mean, like even within the UK, if you're from a Black or global majority background, you're still going to face those qualms, and that's still going to be as hard as it might be in other countries. I realized there was something I was going to say of an experience I had in first year, which is kind of like still resonated with me, in that I found myself talking about sexuality with a couple of people on a train, and the train is important because you'll understand. I was wearing the same could be gayer jumper as we're having this conversation, which is what caused the conversation to happen. And one of the people in this conversation starts talking about how Islam is against homosexuality, and starts talking about the way that he's like, oh, if it were up to me, I'd stone anyone that was gay.
What the fuck? To say that out loud, I can't.
I'm in a public space on a train wearing a could be gayer hoodie. And it's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, of course, that's crazy.
Did they say that seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
So it wasn't meant to be a joke?
No, it's not a joke. And if I'm not gonna say the name, but some of you know who it is.
Oh, fuck them. No, sorry. Wait, hold on.
No.
Where do they live?
I was okay, to say the least, I was with Arsene and somebody else, so let's just say that. So
that doesn't narrow it down.
It doesn't narrow it down. I know it doesn't. I'm not gonna
like
say.
In her mind, the wheels are spinning. Like,
no, I'll tell you. I could probably tell you after, but I'm not gonna say it.
It's not saying now.
I just want to talk to them.
Yeah, we just want to pull up to the Addy and have a nice conversation.
But that's my point. Like to have that. Like, I think I'm gonna say this, and I feel like it's gonna seem bad, but in some ways, I think it is easier to be part of the LGBTQ plus community if you're white than if you're not.
Yeah, nowadays for sure.
There is no doubt about that at all.
No, I really like that point. That's really good, because it's just like how Black Pride is a thing. Some people don't know it either.
There are there are so many statistics you can pull up of like global majority individuals who are part of the LGBTQ plus community who have had the short end of the stick because they've just been treated so much worse, and that's what needs to be addressed more than anything. So it's all well and good having conversations about queer individuals and queer representation, but personally, if you're not including like religion and ethnicity into that conversation, then it's not a good conversation to be having.
It's minimalistic and unrealistic to assume that everything is okay just because it suits just one identity within that community.
That's why I really enjoyed the class we had last year in English. We were separating white feminism from Black feminism, for example, and then also like lesbians, and then talking about intersex. I really like that we are, at least at uni, separating these things now, so you can see it from different points of view. I think it's important.
It's just that conversation needs to be widened out, because obviously then there's the conversation of accessibility to higher education, which
Oh, that's so mad. Do you know what frustrates me the most? It's just like, who asked you? Like, who even asked you to say that? You know, like, sorry, entitled people really just piss me off, because mind your damn business. You know, the world would be so much better if they just mind their damn business.
What?
Somebody
A gay person being gay doesn't really do
it. Doesn't affect your life whatsoever. Like in any special way at all. It's not like, oh, you're gonna try kiss me. I think that's what straight people's problem is. When they find out,
don't even get me started on that.
Like you don't look good. I don't want to kiss you. Thank you very much.
exactly, like
You're not
piss
that hot.
off. You're not hot. Just because you're straight doesn't mean you're hot. Okay, get over yourself. I hate
the
people
whole point of us not being straight is that we're attracted to people that are not straight.
that are not you.
That is like the point
Like,
of it.
shut up. And it's like why would you inflict violence on someone who is not doing anything to infect you in any type of way? Like, it's sorry, I'm run over.
Oh my god.
Sorry, guys, because I'm gonna get more heated as this conversation continues. It just pisses me off. Yeah. So, anybody else?
Yeah, well, I agree with everything Humnah said. Also, in gender and sexuality module that I think some of us have in film, I recently wrote an essay, and the question was like, things are so much better now.
Oh,
and it's in relation.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's in relation to queer film. And one thing I realized from doing that essay is that it's also, when you say things are so much better now, you're like generalizing as the whole LGBT community.
Yeah.
But there are still issues within the LGBT community. For example, like there are quite a few films about like gay men being gay, doing gay stuff. And then
love that.
But the fetishization is of lesbians in film is awful.
Yeah.
Everything's made for the men.
Male gaze.
The male gaze. The men viewer. We love to see it. I think lesbian and bisexuality is like that. Like, yeah. And then bisexuality is always seen in women, never in men for some reason.
Never in men. And
yeah.
Do you think movies like Call Me by Your Name is problematic?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think that it's good that there are films such as Call Me by Your Name, and I spoke about this also in my essay because I mentioned Carol and the new film Ammonite, because they are all films that have quite a big age gap between the queer characters. And I think that while every like queer film that's made is in itself like progressive simply because it has the LGBT character in it, I think that it would just be so much better if we just made films that weren't controversial.
Yeah.
And like the money that could have gone
movie or whatever.
How hard is it to just make a normal like Christmas film about two 20-year-old lesbians?
Honestly.
And so I did really like Call Me by Your Name when it came out, because I just think that it was just a good film, as in like
the cinematography.
It was cute.
It's a good film when you look at it creatively and like the acting is good and stuff, and we all love Timothée Chalamet, so
I just think that as soon as we invite like lesbians and other queer people to make the films themselves, as opposed to giving it to straight white men, it's never going to be good representation.
Yes, agree.
Because it's not like true.
I have a question. Sorry, I put my hand up for all the audio listeners. So I was watching It's a Sin, the new TV program on All 4. It's so good, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It's like based in the 80s. It's these group of friends who are surrounded in the AIDS epidemic, one of those words. And the writer and the producer, he's a gay man, and he said that only gay characters should be played by gay characters. Do you guys believe that should be the case?
Totally agree. Agree.
Why is that? The argument's like, it's acting. You can put yourself in any type of role. So what would you say to dispute that? For all the ignorance.
Like Eddie Redmayne playing
the
trans character in The Danish Girl.
Mm.
It's just, it can't possibly be a good representation for trans people, because how can Eddie Redmayne have any idea of what it is to be trans? Everything that he knows from being trans is he's red. And I just, while you can be a good actor, you can't be that good of an actor.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like saying, what they're basically saying is, we didn't find good enough actors that are actually trans or gay and stuff. And if that's truly the case, fair, but do I believe that? Not sure.
Yeah, no.
Generally, what the problem is here is studios not willing to take a chance on new and upcoming actors, and like the stigma that's already placed for actors that are LGBTQ plus and want to be involved in this stuff. Studios just won't take the chance on it. They'd rather have someone that's an established face, because then they know it'll sell.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue is.
Yeah. I get you.
What
Thank
did-
you for that,
I wanted
guys.
to say something, but I don't remember.
It's okay.
Oh,
You
I
might
was about to
want
say, it's
Oh, okay,
similar to, like, I have a pet peeve for American people playing European characters, doesn't matter from where they are, and some shitty accent, and some trying like to speak French or German. I'm like, this is embarrassing, and this is not how people behave or speak. And I think
Yeah.
it falls into the same category. Or someone playing an Asian character or an Middle Eastern character, and they're fully white. I'm
They
like,
shouldn't be.
no, this is just embarrassing now. Thank you.
Yeah.
With the amount of people in the world, it's ridiculous to just be able to say, we couldn't find anyone.
Yeah.
That's just, you can't say that.
It's just dumb. Like, it's ignorance that people want to live at their best. But I want to agree with you with the movies being like always something controversial, because that's how I feel about, like, that's what my dissertation's on, but like regarding Black people, it's just like every movie that is made is based on like something bad has to happen, or like
Or sad or
sad
tragic.
or a
What
stereotype.
movie are you doing it on?
Oh, so it's complicated because Caroline wants me to do just like Black women in general. So I'm doing like TV shows like Insecure, Chewing Gum. I'm doing Waiting to Excel, and then I'm doing like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. But she wants me to reduce them a bit. But yeah, I wanted to just focus on things that isn't overtly problematic, but show how it's still embedded in the shows. Like there's plight within it.
Yeah. Movies just really love using stereotypes. They're like, this is easy.
So much, like
This is what
so
people
much.
know.
So how do we feel about James Corden playing a gay person in that
Let's
film?
not mention this person.
I just don't like James
Person.
Corden in general.
I was
No,
going
thank
to, yeah,
you.
let's just
I can't
not.
believe James Corden
We'd rather
isn't gay.
not.
I
Just-
really
just-
thought he was. I'm still shocked.
Goodbye. Let's leave him alone. Well, let's not.
I like Smithy. When he's Smithy, he's great.
Wait. Fill me in on the tea. What is this?
James Corden playing a gay character in The Prom basically is like the
The
film.
pinnacle of stereotypically gay, though.
Yeah, that's the
he-
problem. Yeah, exactly.
But if I would ask right now, if people think James Corden is gay or not, more people would answer. I really thought he was. I'm
I thought
surprised he has a whole
too.
wife.
He has, yeah, exactly.
And he has kids in it as well.
Yeah, he has a whole family.
Adam was the one that told me, and I was like, oh.
That's so mad.
Yeah.
So the film is basically drawn about this girl who goes to a school where they won't let her go to the prom with her partner because it's anti-gay, and they then have these performers who aren't on Broadway who then come to the school to help her just for clout, I guess.
Yeah, they were like they had their show just basically axed in like and just torn down by critics. So they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, as a publicity stunt, let's go and help this poor gay child and get her into prom.
Yeah.
Basically the premise of it.
Oh,
movie is a lot.
I
don't know
have
how
not
they-
actually watched the film, so
Oh,
I
I
have no
watched
idea
it.
what's
No,
going
no,
on.
after
But I've
Adam-
seen clips, and I'm just like, no,
It's
thank
poor. It's not good.
Like this already sounds problematic.
The thing is that it's like it's an established. It's actually based on like a Broadway show. It's like established, and
How did they get Meryl Streep on this? I don't know.
I really,
She
I
was
really,
fantastic in it. She was the only saving grace.
Yeah,
And
but
I
why
really
was she
like
there?
Meryl Streep.
Also, don't get me started on the fact that Ryan Murphy has way too much money from Netflix. Beside the point, I'm gonna shut
Oh.
up.
He has way too much money.
Pose is good, and he did Pose, so we have
Yeah,
to give credit.
Pose
where
is the
credit
only
due.
good thing he's
Pose
made
is
in
on
a
my
long
to watch
time.
list. Pose I still need to see.
Yeah, so
Didn't he
Shania
make
got me on Pose.
Hollywood as
And
well?
Yeah.
what?
Did he make Hollywood as well?
He did Hollywood
That's
as well.
really good. I really like
He's
that.
done Hollywood, Politician, Pose, The Prom.
Glee.
Oh, we're talking about Ryan Murphy.
Yeah,
the most homophobic gay guy.
That is it. You know the thing on Twitter where
God.
it's like describes something that is both gay and homophobic. It is Ryan Murphy. That is like it.
He is the Tyler Perry of the LGBT community. Wow.
But Pose is actually, I was
Wow.
surprised that Pose is so good because I know how problematic he is. So I was like, wow, he cast trans women to play trans women. We love to see it.
Okay.
Glee, let's not talk about Glee because I did my essay on Glee and I was like, here's why this representation is bad.
It's just
Then I listed
terrible.
like three big things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, we can talk about this all day.
But watch Pose.
Watch Pose, guys. Is there anything else anybody wants to say about like issues that needs to be addressed in the community?
I just wanted to add to the talking about movies and how I didn't realize how many things were controversial in terms of LGBT representation, because we were talking about the essay, me and Humnah, and she was like, oh, I'm doing Orange is the New Black. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was controversial. And then she listed 10 different things.
There is so much that you could talk about with specifically like Sophia Bassett, Laverne Cox in Orange is the New Black. Essentially, it's just like the problem. I mean, yeah, we won't get into that unless we want to. I just realized I could get into that, but I don't want to.
I think loads of people that Orange is the New Black and Glee are like shows people praised for having queer characters, which should be praised, of course, because it's better than not having an all straight.
Yeah, it's exposure some way.
But yeah, they're both problematic if you look into it, and you're like, was this really helpful? I don't know. Yeah,
for sure.
Does anyone want to ask something?
I don't want to ask anything, but I think it's important. It's important to bring up. Sometimes the LGBT community can be its own worst enemy, in the sense that it can be horrible to its own members. There are so many gay people who are biphobic and transphobic, and it's just like, why? What? I don't get it. Why would you be like that? Well, how can you do? I don't get it. So yeah, sometimes the community could be its own worst enemy. And
you think people that are gay, for example, would be accepting of someone else being something that's not normal, seen as normal, and that they are then adding to that hate of that, like for example, bisexuality is weird to wrap your head around, because you'd think they'd be the first to understand how the other person is feeling.
It's bonkers. It's absolute bonkers.
Is it because it's like, oh, like you're gonna sleep with everybody type of thing?
I mean, if we're gonna like talk about that in the representation or just like conversations about bisexuality and pansexuality for that matter, the idea that we're just gonna cheat on everybody, like, no, that is like, how
and basically you can't decide, so or you don't want to say I'm lesbian, so you say you're bisexual, or you're like, so you don't have to fully commit, so you can be seen as straight because you can, it's very weird.
Just no, because I have a lot of bi friends or pan friends than I do gay or lesbian friends, and it's like they always have an issue with the other, like if they, because it's on a spectrum, so there's sometimes a preference for, am I saying this correctly? Yeah. So there's like a preference to be with someone more than a different gender, but they always have problems with, like, say as a man, and then their preference is more for men anyway. They always have problems with women anyway. Does that make sense? Like it's a like more internalized homophobia, not internalized, sorry, that's the wrong word. It's like homophobia from the women when they find out that that person is bi.
Yeah.
So,
it makes me think of have you seen Insecure, when Jared says that he's simply even just had a moment of just curiosity with someone, and that was enough for what's that? What's Molly? That's it, Molly. For her to straight up be like,
no,
this is it, done, cut. I cannot do this. I cannot stop thinking about it. Like, no.
Yeah. How do you think we can like educate people on bisexuality or pansexuality?
Well, with everything, it was representation. It's seeing people who are that, and engaging with people who are who they are. That's kind of like, I don't know how else you could do that. I think that's probably the main factor, and representation just in general is always going to be the best thing forward, I think.
Yeah,
100%, because it needs to be normalized. So it's not so much of such a sticky conversation to have with everybody in the first place. Like,
yeah, I think we've got to the point maybe in media where, you know, a character can come out as gay and it'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But if a character comes out as bi, then that's when you get that kind of like issues that come up. So yeah,
It's
I mean,
so odd.
It is. It is.
People are so odd. Yeah.
I just feel like, in my opinion, that most people probably are like bi or pansexual. I think pansexual might be better, but on the spectrum, I feel like almost everyone could date someone from their same sex if it was like, I don't know. In my opinion, we're like all pansexual, but on the spectrum, like, you know. Like, for example, Adam is 99.5% not attracted to women, but maybe but then there's Christian Bell, and that's the
one woman.
There's no doubt that if somebody came to me and they weren't male, then I wouldn't date them just because of their gender.
Yeah.
But
that's my opinion. But I think loads of people would disagree, because loads of men are like, no, ew, I'm never
straight.
kiss a man.
I'm only straight, and that's it. Like, shut up. If you could say a man is remotely attractive, it doesn't affect your masculinity. Oh my days. Get a grip. Get a grip. I hate people. Like, women are so beautiful, you know. Like, I don't understand why that can't just be said without making someone uncomfortable. But you know, old people.
It's not just old people.
I mean, definitely not.
John has a question.
Wait, I have a question, like, for everybody. We all said that we were queer when we introduced ourselves, but like, queer is such a big, open, kind of broad thing. So what does being queer actually like mean specifically to you?
Oh, lots of thinking going on.
Well, to me, it just means being who I am without putting limits or pressures from society on myself. That is pretty much what it means for me.
I think I'd say like being queer is just, at least for me, kind of reclaiming that in and of itself because of the history that that label in itself has. And I feel like in a lot of ways my entire being is me reclaiming a lot of things that I just put into place. So I think it's just I think it started off as like a way of just making it easier because of like the entire conversation you have when you say that you're bisexual. It's like, oh, so is it like 50-50 or like what?
Oh yeah,
you try to avoid it. But I think over time I've just been like, it kind of, there's a sense of power for me to say that I'm queer, and I don't actually do it as often as I should, but
you're such a strong, independent woman. No, we commend you for that. Love that.
Is it terminology that straight people can use? Like, if I was to refer to you to someone else, could I use that terminology, or is that prejudiced or problematic for me to say as a straight woman?
I feel like I'd say it depends on like the individual that you're talking about. I guess it's whatever they are comfortable with in terms of their label more than anything.
Yeah.
And the context behind the way that they're saying it as well.
That too, yeah.
Okay. Because I would like to like have the like the neck, because you know reclaiming words is always problematic, especially like the black people with the N-word. I didn't know if it was like that to that extent of like who can say it and when it's presented and stuff like that.
No. I mean,
I think the F word is along the same lines as that, but queer is a word for everybody.
Okay.
Oh my God. Remember when I was like 13, only learning English. So I wasn't like, and people were saying the F word, like the same they use like idiot or like, I don't know, just like a normal slur. And when I found out what it meant, I was like, how are people using this so deliberately? I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I told my friends to stop using it because I was like, do you guys know what we're even saying? Because obviously we just had it from like, I don't know, I don't even know, from internet. I don't know where we got it from, but
100% must have been YouTube.
Yeah, English
100%.
Americans.
oh my God.
Yeah.
But then I found out fags also mean cigarettes, and then I was like, I can't deal with British culture anymore. I'm out. I don't know. I need to leave.
I'm gonna take my Luxembourger stuff out of this conversation.
It's also confusing sometimes.
Do you hear that word a lot nowadays?
But
the F word. Like, is that still something that people would use against you?
Not so much in a derogatory term these days.
I think maybe more with like teenagers in town kind of thing. Like it feels like that side of it if it's being derogatory. I think
they're trying to be edgy, or they're actually trying to be mean.
I think they're trying to be. I honestly, who knows at that point? Like they're just trying to present themselves in a certain way, and I'm like, you know what, it'll be one of those things. I hope that people grow out of, but I think, at least for me, the discourse has kind of come around like how comfortable people are with using the word. So I mean, that was a conversation I had over the first lockdown, and I would say personally, I don't feel comfortable using it, so it's not something that is included in my vocabulary, but some other people in the community feel more comfortable with it. So
thanks, guys.
We've been going for an hour, I think.
Yeah, it's a good place to stop. Is there anything you want to say to us as, straight women that you might not be comfortable to say to anybody else? No?
We're just such friends and support.
We're good. Yeah. Thank you for being open and honest with us, being comfortable enough to speak your truth and your story.
Come on, our super popular, mega famous podcast.
Best
one on the world.
You're more than welcome.
And we love and appreciate
having us,
guys.
Honestly.
Yeah, do you guys want
thank you so much.
A shout out of your social medias, what you guys are doing?
Follow production HAKS.
Oh my God.
Short film of the year, maybe of the decade. So
of the decade. They're gonna revolutionize and change the world, guys. Just be prepared.
Thank you.
We've
got to put your podcast in the credits.
Oh yeah.
Thanks. See, look at this.
Free advertising.
Yeah.
We'll just tag them in our Instagram.
We'll tag you guys so you guys can follow them. I don't know if you want to have conversation.
Like them, see their beauty.
Yeah, be nice. Like, yeah.
We will come for you.
I will come for you. I don't want to see no homophobic anything ever. Like, I will block you. I will block you.
Me too.
And I will find you.
I will come for you.
I will find you.
No one's got time for it anymore.
You know how Shania comes for old people. She'll do it for you as well, just like that.
I love old people. I'm not ageist. I promise. I love the older community. Like, me and them are best friends in Sainsbury's. So.
Oh my God. The old white women loving Shania.
They love talking to me. I'm their favorite. Anyway. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.